Welcome to Engaging Families in Social Emotional Development and the 5 Love Languages of Children. We're going to talk about different love languages as they pertain to children. You might have heard of the Love Languages book series for adults and also for teens. This training is based on the book that is specifically geared toward looking at the different love languages of children. This is the book. You can find this anywhere where books are sold. The 5 Love Languages of Children was written by Gary Chapman and Ross Campbell. And this course is going to go through those 5 different areas that children learn best and communicate love and receive love best through those 5 different languages. We'll go over each one individually, and so this presentation for this week is just an introduction to kind of all of those. I love this quote because it really talks about the importance of social emotional development and the importance of a child feeling loved and secure in order to learn and in order to grow all of those other cognitive skills and school skills and academic skills that are needed. You must first teach a child he is loved, and only then is he ready to learn everything else. And I think that says it perfectly. When a child feels secure in themselves and secure and safe with an adult, they're able to bond and create those attachments and are able to learn all kinds of different things. In this session, our goals and objectives for this session, we are going to learn about the 5 love languages of children. We're going to break down what each of those are and what they look like. We are going to talk about how to determine which is the primary love language for each child. We're going to use the love languages to help us figure out a way to help children learn in the way that's best for them. And then we're going to look at some strategies for communicating to children effectively through their love language and helping guide their learning through that love language. And then we're going to look at ways that we can pull all of that together to work with families, to engage them in the educational system and the educational growth that we're providing for their children. And we're going to take a look at their home cultures as well. So what is love language? Everyone speaks a different love language. And you can see on the screen there are 5 different images across the bottom. And those are the 5 different love languages that are mentioned in the book. We have words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. And we will break down what each of those look like and what they mean for the way a child learns. And it's really important that we try to connect through the child's unique love language in order to help them feel secure and loved and ready to learn. We also want to think about each child having a tank. A lot of people might have heard of the bucket, filling someone else's bucket. This is the same idea. We want to look at trying to fill a child's tank in order for them to feel loved, and then when their tank is filled, they're able to share that love with other people. So when we look at the 5 different love languages as they appear on this little heart bottle with sand in it, we want to make sure that we're filling it with each one. Young children in particular are still evolving, and so their love languages are still forming, and the primary love language in particular is still forming. So the younger the child, the more likely the child will still speak all 5 of the different love languages, and they're working toward honing in on which one is the primary love language. So when we work with young children, we want to make sure that we're connecting with them through each of the 5 love languages still, as they work toward forming their primary love language. I like this quote too. The kids who need the most love will ask for it in the most unloving ways. So when you think about the children who usually have really challenging behaviors in classrooms, it's usually children who've gone through a lot and go through a lot. And we as early care and education providers need to remember that there's a lot that goes on that we don't know anything about outside the walls of our facility or school. And so when we remember that, it helps us to try to reach that child and speak to them in a love language that will talk to their heart and help them feel secure. Just a couple more quotes. Children's social and emotional functioning is very closely tied to school readiness. And so if you're working with preschool and under, social emotional skills, when you talk to kindergarten teachers, they will tell you they are really important to whether or not a child is going to be ready to learn once they come to school. And so speaking to children in ways that they can understand and comprehend and feel safe helps them to be ready to learn. And they're also motivated and connected to others through positive interactions. And so that also leads to them feeling secure and ready to learn to read and to learn and become successful learners all through school. And we really need to be working on that foundation. Attachment is part of the foundation that we build when we talk to children in their love language and when we are forming relationships with them. That bonding and attachment is crucial for a child to feel like they can go on and learn. So they need to feel that they have at least one important adult in their life that they are bonded with, that they can go to, that they can feel safe with. And sometimes when we work with children, we may be the only adult that is giving that to them. And we need to remember that. So we need to make sure that we are filling that attachment and being responsive in our care. And that means, as this slide says, that we want to respond sensitively to their needs, that we want to meet their cultural needs, meet their emotional needs, and meet their learning needs. And all of those things are going to build that really strong foundation of attachment that's necessary for them to go on and become lifelong learners. And children can also contribute to attachment. And so it's not just a one-way street. It is hard to build an attachment with a child who has never been attached to an adult because they don't really know how to form that attachment. And so it takes a little bit longer to break down walls sometimes or to reach a child where they are. Children who have experienced negative attention will sometimes, to the extreme, when they've experienced that to the extreme, they sometimes crave that negative attention and don't really know what to do when you give them positive attention. So we have to be sensitive to that, and you really need to pay attention to the cues that you're getting from the child. If you try to snuggle and the child doesn't want to. If you smile and make eye contact and that really just sets them off on a negative attention-seeking behavior, you have to take a step back and give them some time and just keep working at it. Especially children who've been through trauma, it does take time to get to the point that you can really reach them sometimes. And, you want them to allow themselves to be comforted by a familiar adult. And so in giving them a little bit more time, but letting them know that you're there when they're ready, that will lead to that. That is the whole goal in mind. This week, you have a quiz that is included in the module. The quiz is not a quiz where you're going to get right answers or wrong answers. It's based on the Love Languages Mystery Game, which is the quiz to determine what a child's primary love language is. And so I have included this in this module so that you can take the quiz and find out what your love language is. And you have the same quiz as the children because I want you to have that as a resource for you to use with the children in your care. And I also would like for you to look at the items there and answer from your own perspective which of the phrases that you see you would rather hear someone say to you. And then once you've done that, it's 2 pages. The second page will explain to you how to score it. And so after you've scored it, you will discover what your love language is, which is very useful in all kinds of different ways. It's useful for you when you're working with children. It's useful for you, for your boss to know what your love language is. It's useful for your loved ones to know what your love language is, and the other way around. So what I would like for you to do is, once you have done the quiz and found out what your love language is, post one comment that explains what your love language is and what it is and how you feel about it. Do you feel like that was accurate? And then I also would like for you to think about how that, knowing that and what your love language is, how that will help you to connect with children and to meet their needs. And then post one other comment to a participant's post. So you're going to post one about your own love language and how you feel it will help you meet needs of children. And then you're going to post a comment to a co-participant. So when you're ready, after you get finished with that and we start the next module, we will start with words of affirmation.